Welcome to 5 Minutes, your quick dive into the wide-ranging world of insurance, technology, and leadership. I'm Miguel Edwards, and I'll be your guide as we explore these topics that are transforming not just the insurance industry, but the business world at large. Along with sharing observations I've made over the span of my career in insurance, technology, and operations, I'll be chatting with some of the brightest minds in business and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, an industry expert, or just curious about how technology is revolutionizing insurance, this is your perfect spot for your weekly dose of insights. This is 5 Minutes.
So when you're talking to potential customers, David, about the value proposition of Covenir, how do you articulate that value proposition to them in a way that where they can see the value of outsourcing those operations?
Great question. You know, it's interesting. People think that an outsourcer is just somebody to do something cheaper. And really what we strive to do is to really be a business partner in conjunction with those people at the carrier. So the value proposition we bring to the table is like, hey, I want to free up you and your resources in order to focus on the things that are strategic to you as a carrier.
Right.
Business operations, and whether it's one kind of function, or we have some customers where we are their entire operational staff.
Right.
We do everything from front office, call center, and first notice of loss, all the way down through back office operations, things like lockbox and payments and paying out their agent commissions. And then we run a large commercial print shop. So things that a CIO or a carrier, they don't want to deal with, but they want to have a partner that understands that, then we can bring our best practices to the table, working across 70 carriers.
Right.
We can bring the best practices for print and print operations. And you know what? Instead of all these carriers building it themselves and trying to be cutting edge, I can do it one time and let other people leverage and benefit from that. So I think best practices is a value proposition. I think cost reduction, right? Because instead of you standing up a call center and 10 other carriers standing up a call center, I can do that once and spread those resources across.
Right.
And that's the kind of things that give birth to kind of innovation in our space.
I love that you just talked about that, because I think about my role in the past as a COO of a division of Allstate, and the things that I thought about from an operational perspective versus the things that you would be thinking about as a BPO. And so talk a little bit about your lens on technology and continuous improvement, because I'm going to bet that there's a slightly different lens that you're looking at than, let's say, a carrier COO.
Well, 100% right, because from our perspective, we're looking at not the way one particular customer wants to do it, but we're looking at how do we leverage that across the different parties that we service, but yet in another way, also one of our key messages that we talk to customers is we're not an extension of your team, we are your team.
Yeah.
So what we do very differently than what a lot of other players who outsource or provide insurance services, what we do is we go in and work with the customer to understand. We say, we'll bring our best practices, and we've learned a lot across so many carriers. We'll bring that to the table, and then you make it yours. And then the way you want it is the way we'll do it, and we'll give you full transparency into that, and then we'll also then drive that. So from an innovation perspective, right, we take the knowledge that we have. We take the many customers we're talking to, the CIOs, the COOs, the CEOs. We're talking to these guys, and they're telling us these are the challenges we're facing. I'll give you one quick example.
Go for it.
Recently, we work with a carrier. They're based they're based in the Southeast. And they came to us. They are a print customer of ours. They use other services too, but they're a very large print customer of ours. And they came to us with a business challenge. They follow within some of the states they write in. They're on kind of some of they follow the regulatory changes that are going on. And there was a case law in one of those states that basically the carrier was found that their legal notice of cancellation to a particular insured was deemed to be not appropriate. And therefore the carrier had to basically pay on the claim that they and this wasn't our customer, but this was a customer that they were following. And so that carrier had to pay on a claim for a policy that they had technically canceled. But because of because of the way the law was written, the proof of mailing was not deemed to be appropriate. So that customer came to us and they said, look, we're using that same method. We need to pivot in this jurisdiction, and we think it's gonna, what they do, we think other jurisdictions are gonna follow suit. What can you do to help us?
Right.
So we were able to come to the table with our knowledge, bring our technicians to the table. We were able to bring our U.S. postal contacts to the table. He couldn't even get somebody from the U.S. Post Office. And then we brought also our pre-sort vendor to the table. And together we came up with a solution and very quickly were able to solve his business problem. And then it allowed us to basically launch, we call it IntelliMail Advantage.
Right.
So it's a solution we launched that now gives them complete transparency from the point where they generate the legal notice of cancel, not just through my print operation, but out the door and to the post office. And so they can now take that and launch that. And he has said it has literally probably saved them millions in what could have been claims that they would have been owed and paid out.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.